All right, welcome in everybody to the show. Glad you come by and hang out today. As you can tell, we're going to talk about Oklahoma and their record. Wins and losses. They got a tough road schedule. Let's look at some of the players returning and where were they ranked at last year, run game, pass game. Do they have enough guys back on offense or defense? Is the scheme going to be able to stand up and this hard schedule that they're going to face this year? Let's just start off right at the top here. Offensively, they finished near the bottom of the FBS, 90th in total offense. Now, we know that the run game hadn't been great at a lot of schools in the past couple of years. I think it's because the style of football that we have got into, I think quarterback play is not as good as it has been over the past decade or so. Also, talking about quarterback play, there's some people out there that like Mateer here to possibly win the Heisman. His odds are pretty good. He was in the Heisman hunt last year until he got injured. But now, still under offensive coordinator Arbuckle, the passing game was highly resilient on just one or two weapons, and the ground game did struggle heavily. Now, defensively, this is where Venables eats at. This is where his whole structure is for the defense. And for seasons and years, we know he's been a good defensive coordinator. They only allowed about 270 yards per game, which was pushing them into the top tier, of college football eliteness under Venables. Now, let's go through some key guys that they do have back. Of course, you got Mateer back. He passed for, almost 3,000 yards last year. And some guys on defense, we'll mention him. Eli Bowen, defensive back. He's a lockdown corner, somebody that's going to be important to the role. The Wynn kid plays a defensive line, had 7, 8 sacks last year. And, of course, the breakout backer was the Heineke kid. So, also running backs, this is where the rubber meets the road. Because to be able to throw the ball, you got to be able to run the ball first, and that's just part of it. Or it just puts so much pressure on the quarterback to try to win every game, just right off of his hands. And without, decent offensive line play, let's look at the portal and see where OU maybe picked up some guys. But first, let's go back here to the running backs. New running back coach, McCullough, is a heavily retooled wide receiver room, and Kemp has had several players to surge through the time here. Lowe Hatton Jr., he's a freshman that's been very good at camp. While this offseason, while playing his way directly into running back one spot, practice reports praise his perfect feel for zone running schemes, crisp cuts, and surprisingly great contact and balance too. Now, Blaylock, he's a returning sophomore. He did miss some for the participation time with, minor tweaks and stuff, but he remains to be a real big co-pillar of this. Receiver-wise for OU, we're going to look at the schedule here in just a minute and talk about some portal guys. Trying to weigh out the case here to see if I can go along with the national standard that most people have OU at 8 wins this year. I'm trying to look at this team and break it down for you guys to make a decision. So hit the thumbs up on the video. I sure would appreciate it. I really would. Wide receivers, Trey Harris, fifth-year guy, Virginia transfer. He has been the absolute talk in this whole month of August. We've talked to Mateer, has praised him about his toughness, intelligent, good route runner. And also Livingston, this little guy here, 6'3". He come from Texas. Maybe didn't feel like he got all his playing time he wanted there. But they're thinking that this Livingston kid could be a real deep threat. He could be an X factor for their offense and for Mateer. Also with Elijah Thomas and Manny Choices, both rising sophomores have taken massive leaps from their freshman year, rounding out a much deeper 4 or 5-man crew. Now, we know last year they had some good receivers. The problem with OU was injuries. Man, they just could not get healthy at the right time. It was a real problem. And any kind of consistency that you have in the receiving department, then your quarterback gets hurt. It was just kind of a big ball of mess. So let's go to the offensive starters and just kind of see where some portal guys maybe come in. We've talked about Blaylock running the ball, but you can't miss Satania, the team's real leading receiver last year. I like this guy. It's one of Dean's favorite guys. So Fashy, Lewis, Makula, and Ozaka, and then Foju, the starting offensive lineman. looks like they're going to be. I think she should be, pretty good up front. I think they're returning offensive returning starters are 8. So I mean, you only got 8 guys. That's only 3 guys you're going to miss on offense. That's a good number, man. That's a good number. Their offense was pretty good. So 8 is a really good number to say if they were as good as they were, you're going to only miss 3. That's something to work with, right? It's really something to work with. And Arbuckle and his team and how they're going to, have things out here, I think it's a good problem. I think that for sure we're fixing to look at their schedule, which is hard. But I think it could get them through some games. And there's probably some games that some people may be picking them to lose that I think they may be able to upset, maybe. And again, there's some people, man, they have Mateer as a Heisman candidate. I'm just telling you. Defensively, with 6 returners back, slightly lower percentage of raw production at 55%, which is not bad. But still, linebacker Lewis and then Bowen, Peyton, and Eli both. They're key pillars and what all the projected sports writers to be talking about. These are lights-out secondaries. These guys are really good at their job. And, of course, returning corner Gullery. He's another big part of this. So, offensive portal standouts, this is something that is kind of new to the show because we didn't have all these portal guys moving around so much, but now we do. So, again, thank you guys for coming by and hanging out with me today. As we break down OU wins and losses, Mateer favored to win a Heisman by a lot of people. What do you guys think? The comment section is wide open. No opinions are wrong at all, and I usually have good interaction with OU fans. I had a lot of them last year after I predicted their season. I had them, last year. Thought they were pretty good, win 9 or 10 games. So let's continue on here, talk about some portal standouts. This is who you want to know about. The guy from Virginia, a wide receiver, Harris kid, and then, of course, the Lania kid, the Washington State guy. He went under the radar and has surprised some people in some camps because he played with quarterback John Mateer at Wazoo. So these OU sports writers have noted him, and they think they have some built-in chemistry here with Arbuckle's system. We mentioned the Livingston kid, the tight end from Florida. He's a massive physical tight end, big kid, runs routes well, also knows how to run block well. What else do you need from a guy? Offensive lineman kid from Western Kentucky. Nita has played a crucial role through this camp. With starting center Jake McCumla dealing with a short-term injury, Nita has stepped up and handled some of these first-team snaps. And if you know me and know the role that I've always talked about and brag on the centers, not only do they have to block somebody, but they have to snap the ball and read the defense and talk to their guards or tackles and set shifts. When you got a guy like this may be more important than some people want to admit or think. Now, defensively, portal-wise, you got a guy, the Solly kid, come in from Arkansas. Good God, man. I mean, he's a freaking bowling ball. He's over 300 pounds. He's about 6'3". He's a veteran guy. He flipped into the program as soon as the camp started. So he's immediately some flashes of greatness to be just physically dominant up front with a lot of plays that they've seen through practice. Now, you got another guy from Georgia State, the Thomas kid. He's coming in to bolster the defensive front. Thomas has drawn positive practice reports as a physical, gap-eating defensive tackle, helpful for freeing up these linebackers, which is big. If you know the game, you know defense is kind of like the offense in ways of the linemen, where offensive linemen are creating lanes for the running backs to shoot through, while the defensive linemen are creating lanes for the linebackers to shoot through. And when they match up and the linebackers and the running backs both meeting the same holes, it's man on man. So where do some of these guys on the outside, the receivers for OU, where do they fit in? You do have a redshirt senior from Virginia transfer, the Harris kid. We've talked about him. Livingston's name keeps coming up, man. This transfer from Texas, 6'3". He's been consistent all camp. Not had a lot of drops. Been filling in up for vertical threats rolled down the field, and of course, Satania. I don't think you have to talk much about him. If you're watching this show, then you probably follow college football pretty close. You know who this guy is, man. He lines up in the slot. He's a primary playmaker, veteran. He's going to lead this group. He's a great addition for Mateer to try to make a campaign to try to make a Heisman run at this. So the main guys that's backing them up in the rotation, two deep, are Elijah Thomas behind Harris, the Carter kid, Manny Choice behind Livingston, and the Wazoo transfer we talked about, Alleyna, Alleyna, behind Sertania. So beyond this big-time schedule that guys like Finebaum and ESPN's Connelly and all these guys, they've placed OU's schedule had to be the third toughest schedule out here going right now in the entire country, not in the conference, but in the country. So here's part of the problem. Look at the schedule here on the screen. Again, a few more minutes here. Y'all hang in here and let's get to this schedule and we'll talk about this and see if we got 8 wins for these guys where a lot of other people do. Or does Mateer have that magic this year? It's hard to judge a guy like we did last year with, example, Lagway at Florida. He was hurt most of the time. It's hard to say how good is he going to be at Baylor. He's a great player. Okay, I think Mateer's a good quarterback too. So is there Heisman opportunities there for him? There was last year, and he looks great. He come out of camp. He's lean. He looks strong. It could be. But from what the guys say, from the Finebaums and all those, the big talking people that make a lot of money, here's one thing. Are y'all not glad to be able to watch a show like mine that I don't have to stop and go, now we're going to talk about the schedule, but wait, time out. Right here, make sure you take this packet of energy drinks, makes you feel good, calms you down in the evening, and gives you energy in the morning. Now let's get back to the show. Like, if you're not paying the $10 a month already to skip ads, now there's ads in the shows. I just noticed that yesterday. Like, man, I would kind of think as watching a show like mine is refreshing. You can just hit the play button. I'm not going to spill you with a bunch of ads. I watched a show the other day that I watched these guys a lot, and I liked their show. They had 3 ads in a 15-minute post about covering this, doing a schedule. So sorry I took you time about an ad, talking about an ad, and now you're probably going to have to see an ad. But here, I don't do all that. This is just me. Just talking ball. I appreciate the subscriptions. That would really help me a lot. Just hit the thumbs up and comment. Tell me what you think about this schedule or some of these guys here, somebody I may have missed. So anyway, the problem with being the schedule is tough. They just have a gauntlet away games that include traveling to Michigan, Georgia, Florida, and Missouri, as you can see over here to my side, alongside their annual neutral site wars against Texas, because the margins of error are so thin that national media members are highly skeptical the Sooners can repeat a 10-win season. Now, last year, like I said, I had them winning 9. I thought Bama could beat them during the year. And you can say coulda, woulda, shoulda, and there's a few things that could have went their way, and they would have. But it didn't turn out that way. So they're on a pace to be there again. But are they? Because the lack of proven defensive depth, this is where I think this gets them. I think this is what bumps them down to the 8 wins. Through Venables has built a starting good 11 to, many may argue, the best defense in college football. On paper, national writers note that the drop-off after the first string is highly concerning. Gosh, guys, if you follow this show and you know that I cover Coach Golish's press conferences, and I probably have I did a TikTok live last night, late night show, and went through that. And you can see the handle down here where I'm at over there. Depth is a problem in a lot of teams, man. I hear a lot of coaches talk about it. Coach Golish at Auburn said, I like my front 5, but I need the next 5. He used that word, next 5. Coach Womack, defense for Bama. I like our starters. And for a few of the defensive linemen, we got some good depth. Them losing a player, Beeman, yesterday, it's not devastating to the team. It is for him because he was hurt last year and didn't get to play. But, then they got their second-string guy, DB, Jahad Edwards, 5-star guy. The coaches were loving and seeing him out there on pace, playing with the one sometimes. So depth is a big problem. And that's what this portal has created, that no teams can do what Kirby and Nick did, to be able to have talented depth, not just depth, but a talent of depth. And I think that's the key difference here. So the problem defensive lost some the substantial talent. You know, they went to the draft and the graduating class. ESPN does highlight that while the starting group is elite, quote ESPN, the unit is incredibly young and completely unproven when it comes to depth. So if these injuries strike the secondary or linebackers, these younger players will be forced into pressure of the SEC situations before they're ready. This is just ESPN quote. Now, can they get consistency on the offense and the efficiency despite returning these 8 starters and retaining offensive coordinator? We talked about Arbuckle. And all these national analysts have heavily fixated on the offensive collapse that ultimately doomed OU last year in the playoffs against Alabama. So here's the problem. Last year's offense, we broke down the first of the show here, they were like 95th in the nation in yards per play. That has to change. They've got to get into the top 40 or 30, man. I mean, you got to change that. Now, we did talk about the portal guys that come in, these offensive linemen that's been real help to them, and fixed wide receivers. They do got some great additions. The guy from Wazoo we talked about. We're going to have to see it to believe it. So just going to have to approach on whether or not the Mateer and this young offensive line can find the down-to-down consistency required to score against top-tier SEC defense. So, holy moly. Let's just look at the schedule here. I think we've broke it down every way we can. Let's don't spend much more time here. Let's let you guys get on with your evening. UTEP, Michigan, New Mexico, at Georgia, Red River game at the State Fair, Kentucky, Texas and Kentucky at home. Then they're going to go to Mississippi State. Then they got South Carolina, Florida, at Florida, Ole Miss, Texas, A&M, finish at Missouri. Okay. It's like it's they got a tough schedule kind of up front, Michigan and then Georgia, but it's split up there, and it's at Georgia. You know Kirby's going to put together some top-notch defense. He always does. Georgia, you know, we broke them down, and we got them. I like them at probably like 9.5 or so. Their wide receiver game is just struggle. They're going to run the ball. We know Georgia can play defense, but I don't know about their downfield attacking. So how I'm bringing this up for this game, because I'm going to say OU beats me. I'm going to say they go to Michigan and win. So I'm going to say they go to Georgia 3-0. Okay, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. Traveling to Ann Arbor, that with Underwood, which has been underwhelming by other people's writings. I saw him play some in high school, and I thought he looked good, but college is different, and the windows of opportunity change a lot for a quarterback in their receiver group. So, 3-0 going to Georgia. I don't know if their offensive line can, being at Georgia, are they going to be able to put up a good, blockade for Mateer to hook up with all these receivers that they have. They do have good depth. And Georgia does have their corners, Bolden. We talked about these guys, their linebackers, good core linebacking group. I'm going to say they're 3-1. Then they're going to go to the Red River Shootout to play Texas. I'm going to say that's an L there. I think Texas gets them. I think Arts and them have a good team. We broke them down. We got them at a 9.52. Their schedule's not that easy neither. Okay, so we got them for, let's see here, losses to Georgia, Texas. I think that Kentucky's they're about we like them maybe to go bowling. Okay. At Mississippi State, I think they're going to be a lot better this year. I look for Mississippi State to be an improved team. I think they're going to be pretty good. And being at Mississippi State, don't be surprised maybe if that's a good game at halftime. But I think OU takes care of business at Mississippi State. Now they're going to come home and they're really back and forth. They're on the road and back and on the road and back. Home with South Carolina. The Sellers have the goods to run around the field and make this defense give them trouble. We know that Stewart, I heard he's dealing with some injuries at South Carolina. And that ain't good. If he's, which I'm sure he'd be back by then, but, what if? But we can't live on what ifs. South Carolina at home. I'm going to give OU the benefit of the doubt at home. Now they're going to travel to Florida after they just went to Mississippi State 2 weeks before that. Man, that's really bouncing around a lot. But is this a late season game? Can Finebaum, Florida's QB, and their run game, can they have figured things out by now? At Florida, I'm going to go OU still. All right, they got Ole Miss, then A&M and Missouri. They're going to lose one of those games. They're not going to finish. They're not going to finish out the season like losing to Texas and then going on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-0 run after losing to Texas. I just think there's what we just talked about. Got some good people in the portal, added a lineman here, put in some receivers. We like their running back room's going to be okay, but is it going to be consistent down that kind of stretch? Because after Texas, they're going to be spread it out here. They're going to be at Mississippi State, then at Florida, then finish at Missouri. There's just no way they're going to make a 7-0 run right here. What do y'all think, man? God, hit the comments over there and tell me, you not like them to win 8 games, 9? Gosh, I mean, I think everybody's got them at 8. Most people have them losing both of these games at Ole Miss here, home for Ole Miss and A&M. Yeah, they're going to lose one of those games. We'll just say Ole Miss. So that's got them, that's 9-3 right here. And I think I'm being pretty nice. 9-3, man. 9-3 for OU. That's not an easy schedule, guys. So there we go. That's what we got for today. 9-3 for OU, which puts me at our rankings and how we do them. I'm going to put them at 8.5. They may only lose 3, but they could lose 4. That little stretch down the end there, man, those last 7, those 2 later games that are harder are at home. But Missouri, man, there's a lot of people who got Missouri winning like 5 or 6 games. I like Simmons at Missouri. We broke him down back a few weeks ago. Go find that one over there on our 26 schedule, ACC schedule prediction playlist. I mean, what if they fill around and lose to Ole Miss, A&M, then they're 8-4, and then they just kind of have, peed the cup and just forgot everything, and they lose to at Missouri, man. I don't know. So, anyway, thank y'all for coming by and hanging out. We'll catch you guys next time. All right, thank you.